Google Plus. So I know a lot of you guys have like a love-hate relationship with Google Plus, or maybe just hate relationship. I don't know. They've changed things, especially after the integration happened. A lot of people are just confused by Google Plus, and they just makes their life miserable and like a headache because to them, YouTube felt a lot easier to manage and to navigate before the whole Google Plus thing became part of it. But Google Plus is absolutely a very powerful audience development tool and tool for search engine optimization and more. And we're going to get into some of the ways that I use Google Plus here, and I think you guys can really take these and use them for your channel. So one of the main things I did is I tried to host a monthly Google Plus Hangout on air, and there's a couple of reasons for this. One is that I would make an event page for the Hangout on Air, and I would invite everyone I could, like on Google Plus, who was like I had either circled or circled me, on Google Plus. I'd invite them to that page, and what I saw happening is I would always get new people circling my page, the Google Plus page, after like they would create the event, and other people started like saying, yes, I'm attending, no, I'm not attending. And I guess other people started seeing that, and like my Google Plus page actually started to grow. And I started thinking like, growing a YouTube channel, like now, like growing subscribers is important on the channel, but it almost seems like just to me as important to start growing my Google Plus page. And a couple of reasons for that is to go a level deeper is, well, one, you get more people interacting in your Google Plus page. There's more plus ones, there's more comments, there's more shares on Google Plus. But I also noticed that, and Google's kind of shifted a little bit since then, now the way this works, but it used to be, and it still influences, but not just to the degree that it used to, is that, let's say you were following my page at Video Creators, and you plus one and commented on a video on Google Plus that I had put there. Well, now let's say someone who's following you on Google Plus, they're not following me on Video Creators, they haven't circled me, but they're following you, and they search for something, and there's like in Google, and Google says like, hey, your friend Joe Smith liked this video, and the personalized results in Google Plus, or in Google, became very, very powerful to, like if you had just like 1 or 2 degrees of separation from someone who was interacting with content that Google thought was relevant to you, like that content went like way up the search result page, like to the very top almost a lot of times. And so I found like a lot of value in growing the people who were circling my Google Plus page. And one of the main ways I did that was creating an event for a Hangout on Air. And so that, I don't know how exactly it happened. I'm just telling you guys it works. And so the other value of the Hangout on Air, and last, we're going to talk a little bit about this other stuff later. One of the other values is that it got more sharing that like beforehand, like I don't know why, but people would share my Google Plus events like beforehand, like on Twitter, and then especially during the event. And this is kind of the main kicker, the main reason why I did the Hangouts on Air. I mean, it has SEO value and implications, if you can get people interacting on your Google Plus page, you're posting your videos from, on your Google Plus page, or people who wouldn't have otherwise seen it on YouTube. And now like my Google Plus, I mean, it was a really big parenthetical thought for you, but hang with me. Like the people who otherwise like wouldn't have seen it on YouTube, but like now my Google Plus posts like of that same video are like my Google Plus posts were outranking my actual video on YouTube, but my post where I shared it on Google Plus was like ranking higher. I think because I was giving it like titles like in bold, and I was writing a little bit more about the video there. So it's kind of writing like a mini blog post about the video in Google Plus. I think that was really helpful. But anyway, get back to my main point. Is that when an event is live, there's tons of sharing around that. And I think because it had this sense of scarcity that like this video, like the recording might be available later after the show's over and after the event is done, but like there's this sense of like the experience of being live with someone where I can ask questions and interact. They're answering my questions, and there's people talking about something that's interesting to me, and I'm in part of like, you can see how many other people are watching the video at that same time, and you can see other people commenting, and it feels like more of like a communal thing, I think, when your channel is having a live event. And I saw lots of sharing happening on Twitter, people liking it, like, hey, come join. I think because, again, back to the scarcity thing, like, if you don't join this video right now, like, you will not have the same experience watching this video later. And so I just saw a lot of the sharing thing, and that, of course, led to higher subscribers. It led to more people finding out about me because you guys, a lot of you guys, thank you for sharing those Hangouts. I definitely saw sharing go up when the video is more interactive, when that Hangout was like, I was taking someone's question, like, hey, I saw that comment, and and I answer the question, and I a lot of times saw that person then tweet out that video like, hey, this person's talking to me, this is awesome. And so they would definitely share the video when it was more interactive like that. Another value for doing Hangouts on air is that the way I did it, and again, I want you guys to take all this and make it work for you, but the way I did it is I would bring in a special guest to talk, and a lot of the time, not all the time, because the goal wasn't to bring in like someone who's really popular, but a lot of those times those people did have audiences and followings, and of course they, almost every time, I can't think of one that didn't happen, like they would tweet also like, hey, I am live right now, come hang out, or they would tell their audience ahead of time, hey, I'm gonna be live on Tim Schmoyer's channel at Video Creators, go check it out. So it's kind of like a way from, like, I got promoted by the people I was bringing on as guests onto the show. And so because of all the sharing that happened around those, like I tried to do once a month. I would love to do them once a week, like even today, but if you guys ever set up a Hangout on air, like, it actually takes a lot more work and time and energy than it looks like to really set one up and launch it successfully. And in the future, I'm probably gonna talk more about how all that works and how to do that well. But for now, like, just start doing Google Plus Hangouts on air or Twitch, TV if you're a gamer. The point is the live interaction part is, I think, was super valuable. But I didn't just do the Hangout on air and stop. I actually repurposed my Hangouts on air, and I think this is really helpful. Big part of what contributed to the channel's growth also is because I would take those recordings and I would download them from YouTube, and then maybe about 6 months later, I would start posting highlights of that Hangout, and a couple of things happen from that. So like, say, highlight, let me say what that is first. So maybe, for example, I took someone's question about how to create a good thumbnail, and so I took that question from the actual Hangout and I edited it in my editing software to be just like the 2.5 minutes that we talked about that. And I found that from my Hangouts on air, I often got like a good 10 videos or so out of like an hour-long Hangout on air, which was great content for me to like publish then throughout the later, and that's one of the reasons why I did it 6 months later is one, I would have a lot more new subscribers at that point than I had when the Hangout on air first happened. So it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for me to say, like, for you guys to watch a Hangout on air with me and then like the next week you're just watching little clips of it. That's not quite as valuable to you. But if I wait 6 months and then start posting them, I'll have new subscribers since then who hadn't watched the live Hangout on air, so this is all new content to them. And those of you guys who were around for the actual event, it's been 6 months and you probably forgot about some of it by then, and so it's kind of like a good refresher to see that. Another value that I got from it is I would take one Hangout on air that's full of really good content that's really like important and valuable to a lot of people, but because it's a part of one really long video, it's hard to make that video like rank well in search results for the things that we're talking about. So if I took just like how to make a thumbnail part where you answer that question and make that its own separate video, now I can give that its own title, its own like description and tags and captions file, like, and all that type of stuff to really help that video, like just that section, perform well. And it's free content. I already talked about it. All I have to do is chop it down, right? And another value that came out of repurposing these is that the guest that was like in that video, like in that Hangout with me, a lot of the times 6 months later, like their audience has grown too, and they will also reshare that like on Twitter. So if I tag them and like, hey, watch me and Ronnie Binster at Ronnie Binster talk about how to optimize your thumbnail images, like he would retweet that, or if it's on Google Plus, like they would reshare that to their Google Plus page as well. And presumably their audience has grown also since the last time like the Hangout on air happened. And so now that video is going out to a lot more people that weren't around when they were sharing my original Hangout. So now I'm getting additional exposure to the new people people who are following them, the new audience that they have, that they've been developing, now has additional exposure to me as well. And then the final thing that repurposing this content did actually is that at the end of every video, I put an annotation like, hey, watch this full training, and I put an annotation that linked to the full Hangout on air so people could watch it, like the full thing if they want. And I found that that continually drove more watch time back to that original Hangout on air, which made that one then rank better in search results for the big picture, like overview, like topic we were talking about. Like, for example, 7 principles to creating a fan base for your YouTube channel, like that one that we did. You know, that one, that the whole thing starts, because it has more watch time, you know, it starts ranking better in search results. So I found it to be very valuable on a lot of different levels. And if that something like that works for you guys, I really highly recommend it. Another thing that I did though is I also interacted a lot on Google Plus, and maybe you guys have noticed, maybe not, you might not have any way of knowing, but when people circle me on the video creators page, I go back and I usually, most of the time, I circle back everyone who circles me. And one of the reasons why I do that is, once in a while, I didn't do this every day or anything, but like once in a while, I would go and look at my Google Plus feed from that channel from video creators, and I would see, okay, everything I see in this feed right here is from someone who has circled me on video creators. Now, they may have uncircled me and I wouldn't have known that, but at one point they had circled video creators. And so I would just like randomly +1 things, leave comments here like, oh, that was a great video, good job, you know, things like that. And it's amazing like how many people are like, what? Like, Tim is actually just like watching? Like, what? Why is he even watching what I'm doing? And there's some, like, I really think it helped create like a good, strong human connection with a lot of those people. Just taking on my own initiative, just to go out and see like, what is the broader video creators community doing right now with their videos that they're publishing? What are they up to? What are they talking about? And Google Plus, by circling back everyone, Google Plus was a good, easy way for me to see that and start interacting with the content other people are doing. Because, you know, this is, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into this like super deep, but like on YouTube, I think a lot of YouTubers think that, hey, the goal, what I'm trying to do with my channel is get people to interact with me. I want to get them to my channel. I want them to start interacting and commenting on my videos. I want them to subscribe. Like, it's all about like, come to my turf, you know? But there's something valuable, guys. Like, if you really, I don't really like want to put it this way, but like when you care about the people that you're actually trying to talk to, like, remember, you guys know this, I'm just gonna remind you that every viewer on your videos, like, we're just not accumulating view counts on our videos or subscriber like statistics. Like, every single one of those numbers represents an actual real person who's giving you the opportunity to speak to them, and that video creator is all about like making that opportunity count for as much as it can, right? But by me on Google Plus going and saying like, hey, uninvited, I am just coming onto your turf and I am going to see like what you're up to and interacting and leaving random comments and stuff like that. Like, I think that really went far in helping viewers really start to connect with me. And when they start feeling that connection, like, this is a two-way communication thing. Tim's not just asking us to just comment and add value to him, but he's also returning value to us. Like, I think that's when things really started to work well. Now, there's other ways you could do it. If you're not really huge on Google Plus, you don't want to do it that way, you don't have to. You could just maybe get an email notification whenever anyone subscribes to your YouTube channel, and then go back and just subscribe to everyone who's subscribing to you. You could do that. The point here isn't necessarily to do one of those two things. It's just to not just expect people to offer value to you, but you to go to them and offer value to them on their turf, uninvited, unprompted. Just go, just do it. And especially if you have a small subscriber count, like, that should be really, really easy for you to do. And then the final tactic I want to talk about for Google Plus is how I posted my videos to Google Plus. Every video that I did, there's a lot of value to this. And I kind of already mentioned, like, when I started doing this, like, those videos started outranking, like the videos I was posting to Google Plus, like the Google Plus posts started outranking the actual videos. And I kind of alluded to how I did this. Let me go a little bit more in depth. First, I wrote a title for the actual post for the video I was was sharing to Google Plus, and I would put the post title between asterisks. That will make it bold, and I would kind of put the title something that's kind of like enticing for people to want to read. I very rarely just copy the title of the video and put that on there. I didn't want to insult people's intelligence, you know, like, hey, we can see that that's what the title is, Tim. But something that was a little bit more like a teaser that had keywords in it, but it was more optimized for getting people to click through, because that's ultimately how Google finds value now. It's not just like keyword matching, like, oh, they search for this, here are those keywords, let's put them together. Now they're actually saying, what is the viewer's intent? What are they actually looking for? Even whether or not, like, if they're searching for music videos, maybe we're going to show them like Billboard Top 100, you know, which has none of the same keywords, but they're recognizing the user's intent. So a lot of that is happening, and especially stuff that people are actually clicking through, like that's what Google will find valuable. So I optimize those titles to be more so for enticing people and to watch the video than it was actually keyword stuff. And then I would write like a paragraph, maybe two, just kind of going into what the video is about. And I use keywords again, but I just kind of use them in normal conversational English. I mean, Google's smart. They can tell if you start to keyword stuff, you know, so don't do that. Just kind of talk about it normally. And then at the end, I would add a couple hashtags, you know, pound, you know, video creators, pound, YouTube, pound, you know, I would include a couple of those at the end to kind of give Google more context. It's kind of like, you know how tags work on YouTube? Hashtags in Google Plus are kind of similar to how tags work on YouTube. It's kind of like Google Plus's version of tags. So I found that using Google Plus, kind of like a blog for my videos, worked very well for getting a lot of good search traffic to my videos. And to be honest, I think about 40% of my social traffic came from Google Plus. And by social traffic, I mean like social networks. So like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, you know, Pinterest, LinkedIn, like all those places. I found that 40% of all that total started coming from Google Plus because of how it was ranking well in search. So those are my main high-level Google Plus tactics. I'm sure you guys have developed a lot of your own. And again, the goal here is for you guys to take these principles and to figure out, how can I make these work on my channel? Not just necessarily to imitate Tim, you know, verbatim, do exactly what he did. Unless, of course, it makes sense for your channel, then you're very welcome to do that. But I want you to start thinking about how these things can work specifically on your channel, with your audience, with your message, with the people you're reaching, all that stuff. So I hope this is helpful. Take the quiz below, and then once you have passed it, we will move on to the next lesson where we talk about my YouTube tactics. That's coming up.